Season 2 continues with 15-ish minute coffee chat with Selena and Anna. Join their weekly coffee conversations and attempt at keeping it at 15-ish minutes, discussing all things business. This week, hosts Selena of Howley Socially Inspired and Anna of Nomadabout discuss website DIY, keeping costs low and coffee flowing. Our guest, Jennifer Pasquale of Pride and Grit, joins us in the discussion of doing it yourself when you're an entrepreneur in business. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our show. Season 2, episode 3.
Yeah.
What's going on, Anna? What's going on?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I'm just excited to be here this Monday morning.
Are you?
Why do you laugh whenever I say that?
I don't know. I think it's a nervous, like a nervous tick to it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is she? Like, and then I'm like, like, you know, like I get nervous. When I'm nervous, I laugh. It's horrible. Like, horrible. Like, I'm not even gonna tell you. Like, I will tell you. We were at we went to watch Schindler's List in the theaters, and I was so nervous for some reason about I get nervous when I watch those movies that make you so sad. Yeah. And so then I started to laugh out of nervousness in Schindler's List. My aunt was like mortified. I couldn't even stop myself. And then when I was over my nervousness, I stopped. But I was just like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so I'm one of those people. I like nervously that thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I completely and totally forgive you, of course. This is why we need our multiple mental health breaks. Selena and I took a mental health break this last week. I just said, hey, listen, we're going to the lake. We're going to take a couple hours on a random Thursday morning. Neither of us had meetings scheduled. We're overloaded with work these days and have a ton going on right now. So we're like, we just need a 2-hour break to just chill. And we didn't even talk about work, which was awesome.
It was.
This was our view right here. Beautiful Texas lake and the sandy little side beach and a couple of beach chairs and our kids playing in the water. It was awesome.
It was. We definitely needed it. And our guest Jennifer also went to the lake last night. So definitely amongst the board all today. The lake was a big win for everybody, I think. It's a definite rejuvenation of the soul, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So if anyone did anything like that over this past week, pop it in the comments. We'd love to kind of like hear what you've been up to and what you've been doing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say? There was another thing I was going to say, and I can't remember. Oh, you know what's funny, Anna? Sorry, what we're going to talk about in a second. I don't have that up, but we can just talk about it.
Yeah. So, okay, that's totally fine. we prep things out the day before, but sometimes, we just forget something, which I think is all right. So we're going to be, we announced this the last couple of weeks, but Selena and I are heading up the Fort Hood chapter of the AMC group, and AMC is the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. So if you're here local in Fort Hood, or even if you're not local in Fort Hood, all the different locations are going to be starting, but they chose, I think, 6 locations as kind of like pilots.
Something
and so
like
Selena
that.
And I are like the guinea pigs for this kind of, and we're heading it up. We're planning an August event. It's going to be awesome. We've got, we're going to have it's going to be virtual because, state of the world and COVID and all that kind of fun stuff. Not really fun stuff, but
No, we're making things fun.
Yeah. So we're going to have a virtual mixer so we can get to know our local friends. And then we're going to do a master class on a very hot business topic that every entrepreneur will want to, of course, join in on.
Yes.
So keep your eyes posted on either of our business pages, and we'll post it in local groups as well. And if you're not local to Fort Hood, check out one that is close to you, a military base close to you. In fact, we have.
I did put the link in our comments, Anna. So,
perfect.
I will say this before we get into Jennifer's bio. That is how I met Jennifer, and I'm super excited. And what's funny is I didn't meet Jennifer in the AMC Facebook group, and we talked about this like in the Toolkit. But I met Jennifer in a Slack for AMC. And I had given up on Slack, I'll be honest. And then I was like, oh, I'm joining because I was like doing that FOMO thing. And that's how I met Jennifer. And now we're friends. She can't get rid of me ever.
She cannot get rid of you ever. Well,
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm excited to bring Jennifer on today. I think we're going to have a really fun show, and it's going to be interesting for anyone that's kind of in the, well, it's going to be interesting for everyone because we're terribly interesting to listen to, right?
Yeah, disclaimer also, guys, in backstage, I was just sharing with Anna and Jennifer that I was a little nervous because they're both writers by trade. Like, they're very intelligent writers, and I am like a very conversational bad writer. So like, you know, and her and, you know, Anna and Jennifer were like, you're fine. And we had jokes because I actually I was a tutor for ELS. I don't know. Anyway, let's read her bio, Anna. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's read her. Okay, so Jennifer, I'm introducing Jennifer. She's a 14-year Army and proud red leg spouse and mom of 2. She's a former corporate trainer turned volunteer and military spouse advocate. In addition to freelance writing, Jen founded Pride and Grit, prideandgrit.com, an online space for connection and conversation about the challenges of military life. Through telling the stories of military spouses who are struggling but still thriving, Jen hopes to inspire others to carve their own paths and rediscover their voice. Yay! Let's bring her on.
Let's bring Jen in.
Hooray! Welcome! We're so glad you're here.
I should start all my Monday mornings with like a cheering section. That'd be fantastic.
Right? Hey, Anna, let's add that to our services. Cheerleading section to start off the week.
The Monday morning cheer. Woo!
Yay!
Well, if you want a Monday morning cheer, you just have to connect with one of us and ask to be on our coffee chat.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
You too can have a morning section.
Yeah, no. Hey, real fast, I just wanted to give a shout out. This is Moni. She is actually the creator, founder of MC that we were talking about. So thanks for joining us, Moni. Yay!
Yay! We're so glad she's here.
So, all right.
Yeah, so I just have one quick question, Jennifer, about your bio. Yeah. So you said you're a red leg, which I had to ask my husband last night, and I said, what's a red leg? He says it means your husband is in artillery. Is that correct, first of all?
That is true.
Okay.
Okay, so my actual question then is, have you ever fired any large guns?
You know, I like
that's a loaded question. Sorry.
They actually did in one of the units we were in, they did like a family field day kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you could go, like, you could fire the howitzer, like kind of, sort of, like, obviously you're not there on your own, like they're doing everything, but you're just sort of there, like pushing the button or whatever it is you did.
Right.
And I don't remember why I didn't. I don't remember, because our kids were young and maybe I was chasing that. Like, I don't remember what was the reason. I watched a lot of other people do it. I never did it. And I was like, and afterwards I was so bummed with myself. Because I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get that opportunity again. And I didn't take it. So, no, I've seen it. I've seen it from, close up, but not personally, no.
My artillery spouse friends all have those kinds of family fun days where they're like, I drove a tank and then shot the cannon. And I'm like, my husband, his job stinks. I get no fun stuff like that. Like, come on.
Hey, Maria definitely liked my punny comment. So thanks, Maria.
Little shout out to some Selena humor.
Yeah, no, and Jennifer, I was there while Anna was asking. Her husband was trying to give us some, like, we need those mansplaining moments, like. So, but yeah, it was awesome. So
we almost got the entire full history of the artillery in the he's like a history nut. So it was way back in 1712. I'm like, right? You just close the door on your way out.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, wait, is this where we take a coffee cup selfie?
This is where we take our guests? Coffee cups. Yes, let's do this. Hey, just as a reminder, pose for a picture with us so that you can be in our intro video for season 3. We love to feature our guests, and we love to feature our those who are watching and joining in with us. So pose for a picture with us while we do our coffee cup selfie.
Please. All right. Okay, guys. On 3. 1, 2, 3. There we are. I feel like there should be like a, and I'm kind of nervous. I did forget to refill. I'm like here.
Oh,
and
no.
Anna, I don't know.
We may not need your fruit today.
Right? So, okay, wait, last week, if you saw me exiting in and out, it was a hot mess Monday last week.
Oh my
It's
God.
very calm this week. We're going to have a good sesh with Jennifer. She's like, are you sure, people? Are you sure?
Put together this week than last week really was a hot mess. Like I was on my phone, my internet's down, I am hot spotting. There are people in my house. I'm like, and then Michael had his meeting and Selena had her dog groomer.
Yeah. This is what happened. So I had my curtain open and I can see out in my front lawn, and I had a groomer coming, and she came like 10 minutes early. Kudos to her, but not for my tight schedule that I had. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? The doorbell's going to ring during the show. And that's when I just exited out, and God bless Anna. She doesn't say anything. She just rolls with it. That's all. We're good. Anyway, I had never met this lady. It was a mobile groomer. She could have kidnapped my dog, because I literally threw my dog at her, and I didn't even put the leash on. I threw the leash. I said, I'm so sorry, I'm on a live show. And then I slammed the door. Oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. Yeah. So that's how that went. It won't go this way, that way this week. Okay.
So this week we've got an awesome toolkit to focus on today, because it is right up Jennifer's alley. Our toolkit today is blogging. And the reason that we chose this toolkit, excuse me.
You want to cut us? What's happening?
Yeah, you can see all the statistics right here on the side. And blogging's interesting because it goes in and out of style. But the reality is, when you're doing a search for something, the kinds of things that are going to pop up are blogs and articles that are found on websites, especially for business-oriented things. And in fact, if you were to go to like Pinterest and just search in there, our topic today, which is website DIY, you would see hundreds of articles that are essentially blog articles that business owners and entrepreneurs such as ourselves have put up. Yeah, you can see it just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. And so don't discount the value of a blog. Just a couple of things that it does for you that I really like is when you put a blog up on your website, it refreshes your Google Analytics and says new content. And if it's quality content and searchable content using good SEO keywords and those kinds of things, then your website boosts higher on the search index when people are looking for the services that you offer. So that's a big one for me. And
no, for sure. And I do want to say one thing, and I think sometimes people like, another word for blogging, not that I'm the expert in changing words out, Jennifer or Anna, is sometimes it's called an article. I mean, you know what I mean? So if you wrote an article to be featured on a website, you're blogging, you know what I mean? And I think so. Jennifer runs a really fantastic website for seasoned mill spouses, and people contribute and they add articles. She's a fantastic writer, like, whatever. But I mean, let's throw in some questions to you, Jennifer. Like, what is your take on blogging, and how do you feel about it?
It's funny because when I first got started, I think I really struggled with being identified as a blogger. I think I really shied away. Like, I remember going to an event and people would, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I have this, 15 sentence answer because I didn't want to say I blog.
Right.
It didn't seem like representative of the effort. In somewhere in my mind, the effort seemed bigger than that, if you will, or what have you. And so I think I struggled for a long time with like being a blogger, and that being part of the identity that I was taking on under Pride and Grit. Right. But it is, at the end of the day, it has been a really great way to get information out, to get perspective out, to create conversation around hard topics. And so, it's really a great tool for that if that's what you're trying to do.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think with business, right, like some of this, like the things on the page that you're looking at.
Say again.
Selena, we can't hear you.
Oh.
Can you hear me? Hello? Jennifer, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So we're just going to go on. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Selena's side of things, but we're going to move forward. So yes, I think what Selena is saying that, well, actually I have no idea what she was going to say, but we're just going to finish off with how blogging, if you look at the statistics on the side here, blogging is an awesome way to be able to do, to be able to get a lot more attention to the types of topics and the kinds of conversations that you want to have. So yes, absolutely. What you were saying, Jennifer, is absolutely awesome. In terms of like, it allows you to, well, build conversation is basically what you were saying. So, okay.
Well, and I think too, to your point, like because of how information is shared and disseminated now, you know, your ability to, you know, to have an article about a topic and then find it on Pinterest and find it, you know, in all these different places, you know, how would you do that otherwise? You know, if you only ever publish to various magazines or, you know, various sort of news outlets, there wouldn't be as much conversation out there around that topic if that was your only mechanism for getting that, you know, that content out.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's important also to note that you can blog in a lot of different ways. Oh, look, she's back.
You guys, I jinxed it when I said it's going to be a great Monday. I'm back. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, it's just fine. I just was going to say, to kind of finish up on the blogging conversation, is that you can blog in lots of different ways. You can blog on your website. You can blog on your LinkedIn profile. That offers a great opportunity to share your business knowledge. You can write articles for other people. You can be a guest featured on other websites. And so, you know, my anti-bloggity. Yeah, that's hilarious. So don't be afraid of there is a perception, I think, that bloggers are like, you know, housewives at home with nothing better to do. But the reality is blogging really does. There is a huge world of blogging, and especially in the business world, it really is like a main source for information. It's a great resource. So don't discount it. If you don't have a blog on your website, consider putting one on.
Yeah, well, and I think too, Anna, it's transformed, you know, in the last, I don't even know how many years, but, you know, if you think about how it started, it was very much like stream of consciousness, you know, here's everything that I'm thinking or everything about my day. It was more of like an online journal. And I think it's really transformed into really being more of a profession, if you will, in the sense that you've got, you know, people who are professional writers who are also, you know, have these sites, and they're using it as a way to put out their, almost like self-publishing your own magazine or your own articles. Yeah. Which is a huge shift from where it started. And I think it, you know, unfortunately it got its reputation, if you will, from where it started, but I think it is starting to kind of evolve to be recognized as something different than that.
Yes.
No, for sure. For sure. And like, you know, again, you could type in anything and an article from a website that's from the blog will pop up. That is what people are finding. So be part of the search. Don't discount having that.
Yeah. So just as a little note, we already mentioned that Pride and Grit is essentially a collection of awesome articles, resources, specifically for military. And then if you ever want to know what's been going on in a coffee chat, both Selena and I maintain blogs on our website that recaps our coffee chat. We're both a little behind. I will caveat that we're a little bit behind. But as each coffee chat goes, we do write about it and post it on our website, which again refreshes our content, making us more searchable when it comes to Google. Yeah, because everybody Googles. Right? Everybody Googles.
Right. So, everybody does.
Okay. So
I don't know why I had to repeat that. Sorry, Anna. Yes.
Everybody does. All right. We're going to move on to our actual topic today. So I'm just going to pop this up here. website DIY, keeping costs low and the coffee flowing. So we originally had said business DIY, and we're going to touch on a bunch of different aspects. And then the more we had our conversation about how we really wanted this conversation to go, we were like, let's narrow it down, because Selena and Jennifer, the way that you guys met really had to do with Jennifer doing a DIY website and Selena coming in to assist in some of the things that she was doing. So we're excited about this conversation today, and we have kind of a fun little choose your own adventure.
Yep. So don't be nervous, Jennifer. It's all good.
Don't be nervous.
It's all good.
It's gonna be fun.
I promised Jennifer we were gonna keep it good. And so, in true author fashion, in kind of like what do you call, like, to say, hey, an homage to both of you two, right, for being writers, is we're doing it like in that pick your book adventure style of that's how we're rolling with it. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
All right.
So roll with it.
Okay.
First one, shall we?
Yes, we absolutely should. Our first adventure is the choose your own basic build adventure. Sounds fascinating, right?
Isn't it?
So, as a business owner, you have finally decided to make a website. Maybe you've just been on Instagram or Facebook, or occasionally post, make a graphic and post stuff on these places, and you've got a little bit of a Pinterest following, and now you've decided it's time to have a bigger presence, and you want your own website. So you know exactly, you have these grand dreams of this awesome thing you're going to build, and then you start talking it through with like your best business buddy, and they start asking you all of these questions, and all of a sudden this grand dream turns into a Charlie Brown cartoon, and all you hear is blah 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 blah, and you have no idea what they're saying. What do?
So here's my question to you, Jen. Do you whatever, study, research, and ask for help, or B, whatevs, I'm just going to push buttons until something works? What adventure would you like to go on?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I feel like I'm like in the middle. I feel like I did a little bit of both, but mostly like for me, I couldn't. I'm such a perfectionist, so it was really hard for me to just sort of like launch it broke and fix it live. Like that's not that it just isn't who I am, and I really had a hard time with sort of that idea. And so I overthought and probably delayed launching because I didn't feel quite right yet, and I just had to keep massaging until it felt right. So I guess in the end, I was probably more in the sort of study, ask for help, and research. But with a lot of that pushing the button, but all behind the scenes. Like I didn't do that in front of the curtain. That was all like pushing the buttons behind the curtain. I will definitely just poke around and try stuff, but I won't often do it to an audience.
Yeah. Right. No. So Kate, when we came up with these questions, I was telling Anna, I go, what's kind of funny is sometimes you don't even realize that you are on the path of whatevs, I'm pushing buttons until it works. Right. And so it's kind of like defining it. And so, we're going to share something later at the end of the show, but we were like, hey, sometimes it is very important to study, research, and ask for help. And it is okay. I think basically, more puns, that you're going to be in both lanes and hopefully you'll push back to the finished product, right? So, but learn the basics of your website. And I think I'm going to say this, Jennifer uses WordPress for her website, and that's like, I love it because it's such a customizable platform to use, and she was on it. I was so proud of her because she was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
So when we talk about basics for a website, some of the things that we're talking about really are like the very initial starts of it. So when you build your website, you have to have a domain. You need to know what these things are individually, separately, and have all this information available, because if you do end up needing help, your web designer or whoever, the tech person that's going to come in and help you, is going to need this stuff. So know your domain name, know who your site host is, know what your framework is, or what is it? The CSM, is that what they call it?
CMS.
CMS. Yeah. So what kind of website what platform are you building on? because not every platform is the same. It's not like you start a domain and then there's magically something already there for you to just build off of. You have to choose that. And so people will have different specialties. Selena is a WordPress specialist. She's also done Square sites, Wix sites, but there's a lot of different options. So as you're looking at that basic adventure, make sure you know all of these things before you can just jump right into it, but then you're gonna have to backpedal. And if you get too far into pushing buttons, and you end up needing help, they literally have to start at square one and go through every single thing, because that tech person doesn't have any idea what you've done in the past.
Right.
I know you have experiences with this.
Yeah. I've had people say, "Hey, I don't know what happened," and I'm like, "Do you know what you pushed? What do you mean? What push? Push what?" And I'm like, "Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try my best."
Unclick or click.
Right. I don't know. I think I signed in, not signed in. Oh my gosh. Okay, no. Thank you, Jennifer. See, that wasn't bad, right? First question out.
Okay, so we're going on a second adventure here. Here we go. Yeah. This time we're going to choose a design adventure. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So now you have your design, or you have your domain name, you have your site host, you know what your basic framework is going to be. You pull up your color wheel and you love all the colors and you can't decide what to do. What do you do? You're so excited to just splash everything up there.
Right. So, Jen.
No, I was this one was easy. I was very deliberate on colors. Like I knew, I knew I wanted something that wasn't like overtly military, but at least had some sort of military colors, if you will. So I had the blue, and I had kind of a mustardy color initially. At some point I did hire someone to do like a color palette for me. In the end, what they came back with was very, very close to what I started with, because it just worked, right? But it was like good validation that, okay, and it gave me a lot of, variation within there that I wasn't using up to that point. But no, I was very deliberate on the colors.
I love it. And, this is a question, right? Picking the 2 or 3, which you did, and then staying there, because it kind of like, I think we talk about it is like the eyes get very tired when they're on the mobile or on the desktop all day. So, so giving them just those 3 helps them focus on what will be our next thing. That's super important. I think, and we talked about that. Sure. What if your color palette is like rainbow, right? I think you can incorporate a rainbow design, but very, in a good way. If you have the right designer, they're going to do it right. But if it's just like, there should be intention with everything you do. And I think Jennifer and I had talked about that, is every section of her website should have an intention or whichever. And I loved one of the things we discussed, right, Jen, was using that mustard color as her actionable color for her website. So anything on her website that is actionable, she made it the mustard color. And it's kind of helping just make it easy for the viewer or the user when they come onto our website. Oh, there's this thing, I'm going to push on it because I can push on it and there's more to do. And so that's kind of like a trick that some people do, is they'll use a specific color only for actionable things on the website. So
I love that. Great. I think I think that helps with new visitors to websites. It makes it easy to know where to go and what to do next, because a website should be an experience for your user, right? And so I think having an actionable color helps with that process.
Yeah. So. I do want to ask this though, Jen, like, did you feel overwhelmed at all during this, like during your just like trying to get this launch? Like, was there like this, like, I
mean, I thought I was in, I didn't think I was in over my head, for a long time, really, because it's not, while technology doesn't scare me and it's not necessarily something that I consider difficult, it's still a skill set I didn't have. So it's still everything, everything about it I had to learn and to research and to, troubleshoot. And, sometimes when things just wouldn't work, and I couldn't figure out why. And there wasn't, at the time, right, there wasn't a Selena to go to and go, why isn't this working? But I spun my wheels and not wasted, but I mean, I spent a lot of time, on really simple things that just wouldn't work. That part's, it's hard to continue to be motivated sometimes when you're in that space where you're like, how do I get from where I want to be, from where I am to where I want to be if I don't have that deep background? And you just have to kind of keep plugging away at it, because eventually it all sort of came together, and eventually it was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
But some of those painful moments were really painful, and they definitely required, like, that voice in my head going, no, you just needed to keep going.
I like that. So is that your advice to those that are like, hey, I don't have $10,000 million to hire a website person to put my dream out? Is that your advice? Like, hey, just keep going?
I think, I mean, I think ultimately, yes. But I think if I could go back to the very beginning, I probably would. I didn't realize that I could find someone who could kind of plug and play. I thought it was like all or nothing. Either I spend $3,000 to $5,000 or I do it all myself. I didn't really understand that there were people in the space who could create kind of a varied solution. Like when you and I talked, it was, okay, I really want you to help me with this page. But then through those conversations and through that inspiration, I was able to take it and then create the subsequent pages, right? I just needed someone to help me see the structure differently. And help. And that was, that was not, it wouldn't have been a big investment. It wasn't a big investment. And so I think it's figuring out where are the places that you are really, really wasting time. And figuring out if you can possibly afford to have someone help you in those particular places, then I think it just makes the whole experience, frankly, just more enjoyable and faster, right? Like I could have launched 6 months sooner, probably, if I'd had someone to kind of like, bump me along the way on either side and kind of be my, think of like a bowling alley, right? Like just keep me focused and keep me on the right track, instead of me kind of going off in these kind of rabbit holes that I went down that I wouldn't have if I'd had a partner kind of to help me through that. And some of that was me I didn't start reaching out to in the space, in the military entrepreneur space or in like website development space until like almost a year after I'd launched. I just didn't know. I didn't know there were people that would help. I didn't know. And it's, I'm an introvert by nature. So it wasn't my thing to go, hey, you don't know me, but can you help me? Or can I help you? It just, now I would do that, but then I just didn't. And I wish if I could go back, I would have asked for help a lot sooner on the technical side, even if it was at a really, really sort of low price point, just to kind of make sure I was on the right track.
That's the validation. That's great advice. That's for me. So I built my own website as well, with a lot of help from Selena also, because I was determined to do it on my own. And part of the reason to do that also, though, was so that I understood what was going on. Business stuff, I guess, if you want to put it that way. I wanted to be, I didn't want to have to rely on somebody else necessarily to come in and do maintenance or upgrades. I wanted to know where the things were. And so I totally understand what you're saying. There were things I was so stubborn on. And then Selena, she would come in and she would be like, so this is what you do. And it'd take her literally 2 minutes. And I had just spent like 4 weeks on this one thing, trying to figure it out. She's like, no, do you remember you have to do this and then that? I'm like, But
it's a process though. Like that's how we do learn, right? Because if you just say, I don't know, that's how I learned sometimes, is doing exactly what you did. I was you guys like a couple years ago. I was frustrated. But I didn't ask anybody. I didn't even know to ask anybody, really. And I didn't even realize because back then how important keywords were, that I could have gone to Google. I could have said, how do I make this header move? Like whatever, right? And putting that in Google. And I mean, I still to this day, like for the more complex things, I have to Google just to kind of validate how I'm doing something in somebody's website. But I get it. It's a process.
The other thing I was thinking, based on what Anna said, is I think, as much as if I could go back in time, I would X. I don't, the reality is it was a process. And if I had met you when I first started, I couldn't have articulated what I wanted because I didn't know. And so I think you came in at the right time, because you came in at a time where I had I had some conviction about what I was trying to do and how I wanted to do it. And so it was a much more productive conversation. I think I probably would have spent money on wasted conversations because I just couldn't articulate it yet. I had to be in the thick of it to be able to understand what I really needed and wanted from someone else.
Yeah. I think the other thing is to know what your strengths are. So in this conversation in particular with the design elements, I am not a designer. Like, you know, I know what I like visually, but that's not necessarily the best experience on a website. So there was absolutely some of that. Again, this is Selena jumping in because she's my website girl, right? So Selena jumping in and going, you know, you could make this a little more fun if you do this. And it's not even something I considered, partly because I don't think, oh, that can be a flip box, or, oh, that can slide onto the screen. You know, that's not the way my brain works. So me recognizing my limitations and being able to say to someone else, hey, what would you suggest to make this a little bit more fun? And getting that kind of feedback will also help as you go through that, we're going to call it that choose your own design adventure process, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, with that in mind, actually that falls right into question or adventure number 3, which is choose your own copy adventure. Right. And so this is your specialty, Jen. So I'm kind of excited to go down this one. So here you've got your very pretty design, and the base is done, and your colors are selected, and everything's looking fabulous. And now you have to start to write copy. You've got a million ideas, things that you want to say, what you want to share, information you want to get out there, services you want people to buy, products you want them to buy. So where do you start? There's your adventure. You've got 2 choices.
So you can throw everything. So here's your 2 choices there, Jen. Throw everything you can think of at the website and just hopefully it works, or choose the 3 E's and do keyword research. And Anna, tell everybody what the 3 E's are.
So the 3 E's are kind of a standard for copyright for online copy. So it's engage your audience, entertain your audience, and educate your audience. And social media posts and websites and your presence on social media should incorporate a combination of all 3 of those things: engagement, entertainment, and education. And those are the 3 E's. And then, of course, keyword research is going to be SEO, which stands for, oh my gosh.
Search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization. And this is how search engines like Google, I mean, we always go to Google, but there's other ones, Firefox, Bing, all these other ones, Mozilla, that will also do the same exact thing as Google. And they use those SEO keywords to find your content and to rank your website. And that's how that's why certain ones pop up first in line and other ones are back on page like 496, you know?
Right.
So anyway, so Jen, tell us what you do. Which of these 2 directions would you go?
Yeah, so I think, again, I think I started one way and then I think I've shifted over time. So I think when I initially was writing for the site, you know, I just sort of threw everything I thought I wanted to say out and then sort of massaged it through. It, as I look back at that version, that like the launch version, it was incredibly wordy and didn't necessarily, and I remember Selena and I having this conversation, it didn't necessarily tell people what you know, why I wanted them to be there and what I wanted them to do with the information they were finding. And so I think then over time, I sort of slowly shifted to realizing that I could say less, I could say a lot less. And so I think like my word count on the site overall went down substantially through the kind of the second iteration of it, and was a little bit more strategic, but I'll be honest, like I still don't think that, you know, that right path is still my strong suit. Like I still think I'm not quite there. And I think there's still room for improvement. And I suppose the SEO is kind of always changing, but it isn't necessarily been sort of my strength to figure out how to leverage that as effectively as I think some people have figured out. So if there's anywhere that I know I need improvement, like that's going to be it.
Interesting.
I think I did the exact same thing as you. I just did like kind of I haven't spent a lot of time revising my first edition of my website, but I did recently go back through and I took out like half the things because I was like, I just want people to come here and then they'll know what I do, right? And it's all out there and they don't have to ask me. But the reality is I want them to talk with me because I think that I can sell myself better than my website necessarily can. Like it can give them a taste of my process, my skill level and that kind of thing. But the reality is when you speak with someone, you know better, oh, this is someone I could work with. This is someone whose services I think that I'm interested in using.
Right.
And in your case with your website, I think I personally really enjoyed your website when we went through it yesterday, actually, again, and just it flows very well. So from my perspective as an end user,
Right.
It was easy to navigate. It was readable. And these are all things that we have to think about, right? Easy to navigate. It was easily readable. I didn't feel like I had to wade through piles of paragraphs in order to find the areas of interest that I had, in coming to your site. And so when you're looking at copy, I think those are really some of the key things is, you don't have to put it all out there at once. And
yes, agreed.
No. Blog posts.
Right. Save some for your blog post. Save some. Yeah. No, you know what? I will say this. And when Anna was designing her website and we would go on and we would chit chat about this, I remember saying to her, like, me and Anna represent two different types of users. I am a skimmer. I do not read word for word. And Anna, like, literally, like, inhales every single word so she understands it. She has patience to do that. But I said to her, I said, if I came here, it's too long. Or like, and when this is that chit chat we have, right? And it's just kind of like, but it's finding the happy balance of getting that message out. But there was like a website, I follow many website designers. And I think my favorite thing is one of them said, hey, like when you write your copy and then you go back, cut it into half. Yeah. And then she says, if you can cut it in half, is your message still understandable? I don't think that's a word, but that's what I'm trying to say. And then she said, okay, now I want you to take the half you cut that in half again. Yeah. And it was like, it was super interesting to me. She's like, if that was all you had left, is your message heard? And so she says, use that as a tool. Like when you go to revise, look at your website and see and cut in half some of the copy, because you want to direct them to a more, and I don't know, but I think copy is super important. Absolutely. I think it's the primary really of the website. And we talked about this, right, Anna, yesterday, as we were saying, if your copy is horrible, then you're going to lose them. It doesn't matter how pretty the site is. If you can't say a word per se, I won't, you know what I mean? It will be bad. It will be bad. So,
and I think when it's your baby, it's hard to be succinct because it's like, I want to make sure they really understand my heart for this thing. Right. And so you just have to kind of trust that the right people will come at the right time, and you can, say it with less and still achieve the same message. But it's hard. It's hard to not want to just like throw it all out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. No. Yeah. It did. That's how I feel. I mean, like, it goes for design as well. Like, you'll design lots of things, and then people are like, okay, well, I don't want that, and you're like, oh, okay, but I worked so hard on that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes. So we do have another little toolkit piece for the copy thing. So there is a website called ubersuggest.com.
Oh yeah.
And it's by Neil Patel. And anyway, it is super duper helpful. Ubersuggest is. And what it does is it basically looks at your site and analyzes it, I guess is the best way to say it. And really kind of helps you with that slim down process. So take out all these words. These are unnecessary.
And it's free.
We love free.
Yeah.
We love free, right?
Yeah.
So it is a great resource. So if you haven't checked out Uber Suggest, go and do that and take a look, use it on your website and on your copy and see what you think. Let us know if you try it out. We'd love to hear about it. So I think that we're at the struggle bus. Are we at the struggle bus?
Yes.
Struggle bus.
Yes. This is our part of the struggle. I think I need another cup of coffee. I'm getting to the end, guys.
It's almost done. So Jennifer, this is the part where Selena and I ask you, is there anything that is going on in your world that you think either of us could help you with?
Oh, always. Let's see. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to what I said before, which is I think I continue to feel like from an audience standpoint, making sure the content is refined enough for the specific audience that I'm targeting, but also figuring out how to really leverage all the SEO pieces, because I just feel like those are not quite there. So I think that continues to be the piece that I feel like if I had more time, if I had more time, I would do. That's usually how I finish that sentence. If I had more time, I would figure out how to kind of draw people in a little bit more, because there's a lot of things I haven't sort of explored Pinterest yet. There's some things I just haven't done because I just haven't had the time.
Right.
So yeah, I think just figuring out how to cast a little bit of, not a wider net, because it's a very specific audience. So it's not I'm not really trying to cast a wide net, but making sure that it's getting in front of the people that I want it to get in front of, to try to help that conversation, I think is the piece that I continue to struggle with, feeling like I'm doing enough to do that.
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned this in a coffee chat a little bit ago, but I read an article in the last couple of months that really talked a lot about the changing world of SEO and keyword research. And in the past, it's been like single words, right? You want to make sure you have the word website. You want to make sure you have the word blog. You want to make sure you have the word military on there. But nowadays, when people, especially the way we're using technology now, it is really long form search that people are doing, because they're talking into their phone. What is this, right? Or how do I find McDonald's? Or, how do I build a website? So they're talking a sentence into their phone. And so the search engines are changing and incorporating more of this long form question type searching. And so that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is just to remember, like, when you're writing, think about how you search for things. And if you were an end user, what would you be looking for to find the product or service that you're offering? Like, what would you type in? And make sure that kind of question appears on your site in numerous places in various ways. And then the third thing that I think people like me that aren't website designers, that I don't stop and think about, if it's in a graphic, it's not searchable.
Right.
I know that's a very basic thing, but you can create this gorgeous graphic that goes on your site, but the content that's on the graphic is not searchable. So if your graphic says, how to build a website, that's not a searchable piece. So unless you repeat that information in the actual copy and content that's on your site, it doesn't count. And I forget that, right? Like that's a piece where I'm like, oh, dang it, that's not going to work. Now I have to repeat myself. So some of those would be the three things I would say. Think about the long form questions that are happening and the way people are searching with verbal questions and, typing out on a computer. It's rare that somebody goes on and says military spouse.
Right.
I mean, there's something specific that they're looking for. Yeah. So those would be the three things I would say. Selena, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I just, and I think, Jennifer, you just said it, is like finding the time, right? To kind of make sure that I do like how you say cast a net, but it's just casting your content net, right? It is letting making sure you're kind of putting things in all the spaces. So if people are searching for it, you're part of that search. And I think, it's overwhelming. I know for myself, I can tell you, I'm not doing it for myself all the time, but start small. If it's just 5 minutes a week on Pinterest, like adding what you can in that 5-minute space, that's already 5 minutes more than you did the week before.
Right.
And I think don't beat yourself up on trying to say, because yes, all the things tell us, right? Post here, post here, post here, post here, post here, post here. And it gets so overwhelming that I just think do what you can and then just build it up to where it becomes more of a natural progression where you feel, okay, I got this, I can do it. So that's just my thing. And then I will say this to comment about the graphic, Anna is absolutely right. Don't build a pretty graphic on a PDF and put that as your content on a website. But if you are using photos, I will highly recommend and suggest you need to make sure you're putting alt text in the media library part of it, because when Google indexes and they're crawling your site, they will read what is that image about, right? And you hear people say like, well, if your image doesn't come up, at least a description will post up so people know, like man with dog walking on beef, right? And so maybe you want this graphic to say Pride and Grit logo on website, and so then that's becomes the searchable text is what you put in the alt text on your website. So that's all.
I'm so bad about cutting corners there because it's like, I can save time by not doing this, but I know it matters.
Time, right? But here's the thing though, is you can go back, right? If you give yourself an hour a week, an hour a month even, just to go back and refresh some of your stuff, just go into your media library. You don't even have to go into the post. So wherever that picture shows up, it will that will be there. You go into your media library and make sure just add an alt text to it, Yeah. So
Exactly.
Good question, everybody. Time and all the things.
Right? Time and all the things.
Yeah.
All right, so we're kind of at the end of our conversation right now. Let's have Jennifer tell us where she can find us, or where she can find her. Wait, where you can find her, whatever. You know where to find us. Where can we find you, Jennifer?
So Facebook and Instagram, just Pride and Grit, and then Twitter is Pride and G. And then I am on LinkedIn. I don't really do much. It's on my list. It's on the list, right? And then obviously prideandgrit.com. So
yes, please go find her. Go hang out with her. Jennifer is fantastic, and I do. I adore her, and I'm so glad that we found each other in that group. And I remember when we were sort of done with her project, I was like, hey Jen, I'm not leaving, right? You know that, like, we're connected now. And she's like, okay, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'll be that, like, in Hawaii it's an opihi, but it's like a mussel that's on the like on the beach, that sticks to the rocks. I don't know what you call those things, like the clam, not a clam, but it's, anyway, in Hawaii we say an opihi is like they're attached. So I was like, Jennifer, anyway, thankfully she didn't kick me out of her life, because I'm like, so
how do I do this thing? What is going on?
You got to go here. She has these great spotlights that she features on her Facebook page, and she has incredible guests. Like, I'm like, there are such great topics that she has. So go over, just grab your phone when we're done, and go to Pride and Grit Facebook and Instagram and go like her right now.
Yeah. Go and find her. She's got some great stuff. And also look at her page design. It's actually very good. I really like it. Yeah. I really like your design and your colors.
Thank you.
Jennifer did a great job. She really did. Seriously. Okay. Well, I guess, and then we talked about giving something to some of you, whatever. I hate talking about myself, so I'll just let Anna do it.
Okay, all right. So listen up. So Selena created, for another podcast that she was on, she created a freebie, Convert and Design Tips for Your Website, and it is available on her website, and it is free, and it's amazing. It's got some great resources, and it goes over a few of the things that we talked about, but so much more. So we're going to encourage everyone to jump on. Selena, are you going to post that link in the comments?
Yes. I just put in mine and Anna's pages, so you can grab that. But anyway, just if you want to know if you're there, I mean, part of this creation was also because I was working with Jennifer, and I was like, oh, I mean, just all working with everybody, it kind of allows me to create something like this. So anyway, go grab it if you want it. It's free.
Go grab it. Even if you don't want it, you need to go grab it, because let me tell you, if you have a website, there's going to be something on there you didn't think about. And so I know website design isn't everybody's favorite topic necessarily, but there is so much good information on this freebie. Like when I read through it, I was like, this is so good. Like this is like manual, like you could sell this kind of information. So anyway, that's my big punch for Selena. Go get her freebie.
Yeah.
All right. And also, two things. We want some coffee cup sponsors. So, you know, we're looking for our season 2 coffee cup sponsor. If we could get Starbucks on board, that would be awesome. Selena, if you could work on that, please.
Hey, Starbucks, you guys do support military, so if you want, to have you sponsor our shows. I mean, we like that. Yes. Well, yes, I'm a big, my mom and my family and my sister and my husband, they sarcastically say, if you had stocks in Starbucks, if I had I would be so rich because you come, you know what I mean? And every time I come home to Hawaii, my physical joke, like, oh, my stocks went up, you must be in town, you know, like.
Hilarious.
I love coffee, but anyway,
All right. So part 2, other than coffee cup sponsors, do you choose your own DIY adventures in your business? Tell us how that works for you. We'd love to hear all about that. If you can pop that in the comments, we would love to kind of hear your own DIY stories. You know, it really is a choose your own adventure when you come to a crossroads to see kind of where you end up. So that's kind of why we chose that theme for the day.
And we really appreciate Jennifer kind of coming on board to like discuss this with us today, because I think she represents, you know, she was like, I don't know if I'm like, no, but you're perfect because you are like what every business person, any entrepreneur does, right? In the beginning stages is a lot of DIY. And so Jennifer was like, she was perfect. Like I knew we wanted her on. It took us a while to convince her to be like, do it, get it.
Yes.
She only moved across the country to get us to do it. She just did a PCS. She's in a whole new state. I'm shocked I said PCS right, guys. Normally I see PSE, and then everybody that's more seasoned are like, for you non-military people, that's a permanent change of station, meaning they've moved from one station to another.
It's a move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a move. So kudos to you, Jennifer, for getting through that. And real fast, just FYI too, people, me and Anna are in the middle of four, and I'm in the middle of 5 total, because I have one with my other business partner, of just trying to, like, 3 are on the wait list, 2 are in like motion, well, actually 2.5. So,
we've got 4 website builds going on right now with the combination of that copy and design. So we get it, you know, and reach out if you need just some motivation or a pick me up or a big cheer, because, you know, every Monday we're willing to do that for you.
Or go to Jennifer's page and be like, hey, I'm going to start with you first. What did you do? You know what I mean?
Get some good inspiration. Yeah, she's an expert. She's now an expert.
Yep. Okay, well, what's going on? Wait, who do we have next week, Anna?
Next week. We're excited about next week. So next week we have Aaron Cothran coming on. He's a licensed counselor of social work. He owns Synergy Youth Treatment, which is 3 different things. It's a residential treatment center for boys, and it also does counseling, offers counseling, like family and personal counseling. And then it is also a foster agency for the state of Utah, helping place high-risk foster children. And he also is the owner of Aura Expeditions, which is something that he just newly started. And it is an adult retreat that has like kind of a therapeutic portion of it for couples. So it's adult couples retreats. They did 1 trip to New Zealand and then COVID. And so he's done a second one local to where they're at. They're in Utah. They're located in northern Utah, in the Logan, Utah area. Anyway, so he did a second one just recently, local to where he lives. And so this is kind of an exciting new area for him. But we're excited to bring him on. Our conversation is really going to center around kind of the stressors that everybody's facing right now and everything that's going on between back to school and the quarantining and all that kind of stuff. So tune in with us next week. I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation with Erin.
Yay! And then, Jennifer, thank you so much.
So much.
At the end of the show, she's like, it's over. It's over.
She's like, I survived.
She does. So, like with so many guests, right? So it's fun for her to be the guest, I think. So, and I just because she's wonderful, she's so great. But thank you so much for joining us, for doing this live. You know what I mean?
I don't do lives, you know that.
So if you could just let Jennifer know she did great in the live, everything.
Yeah. So give her some live love. Yes.
Thanks, ladies.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Bye.